HF Feb world, baby!
Hi, welcome. Today is the continuation of Hero February, where we're going to be talking about Hero Factory MOCs all of February. Because it's a little community kind of collab, little just fun time that we're all having, where if you want to build some heroes, you want to build some villains, now's the time to do it, and now's the time to post it. Post it on your Instagram, your Flickr, your Facebook, whatever, and tag it HF Feb, Hero February, tag it Hero February, don't tag it HF Feb, tag it whatever you want it to be, but make sure to put Hero February specifically, that's the main hashtag we'll use for this one. But it's just a celebration of Hero Factory, villains, heroes, whatever the heck you want. More system-based, more Bionicle-based pieces. However you want to build it, just build heroes. It's Hero Feb, we build heroes in this time, and we're going to be spotlighting some MOCs that you guys have submitted that you've made for HF Feb, or just heroes in general that you've made in the past. So let's dive on in and focus on some of these awesome heroes and villains. The very first one we have today is not really one, it's a few. This is by the All-Seeing Eye, and this is Demolition Squad. So what I like about this is that multiple have been built here. Not all of these were built for HF Feb, specifically. I know that like Mr. Bruce Sawgrinder there, my boy, was built a little bit ago. But just the awesome idea of building like a little squad or a little group of heroes, I think that's an awesome idea. And I love how he's themed them here as well. You know, like the original sort of Hero Factory heroes that we always got, your Stormer, Furno, and Breeze, you know, all those guys, Surge as well. There were a few of them, and they sort of made up their own sort of group. And yeah, they were all different colors, shapes, and sizes, all that sort of stuff. But I love the idea of a team like this that sort of shares a fairly similar color scheme. This repeated use of the lime here. But you know, each villain has a different hero core, different color scheme, all that sort of stuff. And when they kind of come together, they look really cool next to each other, don't they? So I don't know. I think this is an awesome idea of creating a little squad that maybe specializes in different areas. Let me read the description here that they've said on Flickr. So, Natasha, Bruce, and Bob form the Demolition Squad of Hero Factory. If it stands in the way, it won't be there for much longer. Which is cool, isn't it? I like that. So, yeah, I don't know, could you come up with a little sort of brief or really detailed story and just come up with some sort of elite task force that works for Hero Factory? I think that's a great idea. And you could do the inverse of this, too. Have a little bad guy squad, you know? The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or something like that, you know? That's Marvel, but you know what I mean. Bunch of bad guys that come together and form a squad, like a wrecking crew or something, you know? Whatever you want to come up with. I just think this is a really awesome concept, and it's really cool seeing them next to each other, you know? You could come up with some sort of unified theme, unified color scheme, or give them unique personalities or character traits, all sorts of stuff like that. You got your bruiser character, your smart character, your bomb guy, whatever. It's a cool idea. So let's break down all three of these dudes. I'll quickly start with Mr. Bruce Sawgrinder here, because we've covered him fairly recently on the show. This, of course, is a character that my friend and I came up with when we were very young, and then Mr. All-Seeing Eye and Mr. MC Lego Boy helped bring him to life in brick form, because he never actually... Well, I think he did see the light of day, but regardless, it's cool to see someone making a character that I'd spoken about in past BIS episodes here. So nice to see that he sort of brought in a character that he didn't necessarily come up with, but helped give new life. So maybe if you want to build a crew like this, why not take inspiration from other people's MOCs or other people's characters? Maybe build your own version of them, a MOV, if you will, my own version. Or you could just take some inspiration from someone else's character and be like, yeah, I really liked the color scheme you used, so I'm going to take that, but build my own character with it. Or you could even build, you know, Bruce Sawgrinder yourself, but you're like, okay, I'm actually going to give him forearms instead. I'm going to change up the color scheme slightly, give him a different look, whatever. So I like that idea of taking other people's characters and working that into your own stuff. You know, it doesn't hurt to ask permission first before you do that, but I think 9 times out of 10 people are going to be okay with it, as long as you don't pretend it's yours. If you openly give them credit, that's always a good thing to do. But yeah, you know, I think that's a cool idea. Let's move over now to Bob the Bomb Lobber, which I swear I've tried to say that name before, so maybe we focused on this MOC in the past, but it's been a while if we have anyway. So I love the idea of, well, first off, just this awesome color scheme, the purple and the lime here. It does remind me of the Devastator crew from Transformers. Obviously, the color scheme's fairly similar, but also the idea of all these, you know, dudes with a sort of crew like this also kind of makes sense and seems similar in concept. I do also like the idea of maybe all these heroes combining together to form one big sort of colossal Titan, not that colossal Titan, and yeah, some sort of combiner model very akin to Transformers, you know? But anyway, onto the mock itself. I like the fact that he does have a little sort of turret friend there. I think that's a fun idea of giving your mock like a little companion, whether it's a little sort of robot friend or, I know you could even give them like an actual like dog or some sort of beast or something, I don't know. But just a little fun thing like that I think is cool. And in some of these photos, it's sort of resting on the shoulder as well. So I like the idea that it could actually like attach as like a shoulder mounted turret or sort of detach itself and, you know, shoot things from around corners or whatever. But yeah, I think just in general, it's a clever and fun concept there. The gun that he's holding there is also really, really nice, very fitting, very appropriate for a sort of a demolitions expert here. And I love his little sort of like ammo belts on his torso there, simply using some of those kind of like ammo belt pieces that came on like Rocker and a few other Hero Factory sets. And then attaching some of those weird like silver pieces that come with a bunch of other parts in like Batman and superhero sets and things. They're interesting pieces, but it kind of does look a bit like ammo there, which I think is a great use of that part there and makes sense for this character. So yeah, I think it looks really cool. Let's move over to Natasha and Misha. I think Misha's the name of the gun and Natasha's the name of the actual character here. So I like this, another sort of like heavy bruiser type character with a big old gun that sort of like splits in two, which I think is really interesting and really cool. It's a unique way of designing that specific sort of like Gatling gun blaster there. It's really, really awesome. Again, lovely color scheme, orange and lime with a little bit of silver thrown in there. Beautiful. I also adore the back design on this one here. Taking a look at it here, gorgeous. These little sort of like, I don't know, like kind of translucent like energy sort of like batteries or something. I don't even know what that is. Some sort of charging device for the gun or power source. I don't know, but it looks cool just the way it sort of sticks out like that. And the beautiful sort of layering of all these system pieces here. It does look like some sort of, yeah, powerful backpack that powers the gun and stores the ammo or whatever, which is also sort of kind of detailed in the description on Flickr there. So it's cool. And it's always nice to see the back of a Hero Factory mock looking good, because even on some of the official sets, it wasn't always the case. You know, sometimes it didn't look as vibrant or exciting. It was just sort of unarmored and boring. So it's always cool to see mocks that do put some time and effort into prettying that up. And I think it looks absolutely gorgeous here. So that's it for three awesome dudes that form a really awesome squad. And I think it's just a cool concept and something you could play around with yourself for HF Feb. So something to consider. On to the next mock now. This is by BioSteam Clock, and this is called Bright Bite. So I like this because at first I looked at this mock, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He's been really inspired by an anglerfish, you know, one of the sort of deep sea fish that we know about in the real world. That's kind of terrifying, right? And really cool. And of course, since this year of HF Feb is sort of underwater themed in nature, doesn't mean you have to build an underwater themed character, but if you want to tie it into something, that's something to consider. But with HF Feb, it makes total sense to be building some sort of deep sea creature, you know, what sort of monsters lurk beneath in the depths of the ocean. Makes sense that sort of stuff would be your bad guy mocks, right? So by all means do that. Research some underwater creatures, things like anglerfish or just, I don't know, sharks or other sort of, I don't know, even stuff that isn't deep sea. Why not build a turtle villain? That'd be awesome, you know? Stuff like that. Or research sort of like fantasy stuff. What sort of things like krakens or other horrendous looking creatures live at the depths of the sea? How could you bring that to life in Bionicle form? Could be really cool to build just big old massive like kraken underwater creature that like 12 heroes need to team up to take it down because it's just that massive and terrifying, you know? A lot of cool ideas that you could branch out with there, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of that. It's awesome. So yeah, lovely concept, but what I like more is that it is literally an anglerfish. Some of these photos here show it very well, where it's actually just a fish that sort of gets some like exotoa or exoskeleton-like armor and uses that to sort of achieve its villainous needs. I love that. I love that. So yeah, it says here in the description, let me just read what he said specifically about that. Brightbite is an anglerfish villain who possesses a stolen heavy-duty exosuit, armed with a plasma spear rifle and his set of massive razor-toothed jaws. He's a menace few can face underwater. That's cool. I like that. As a really different concept too, because this would have worked really well if it was just a dude that looked like an anglerfish. But I love the concept of a fish being so angry that he's like, no, I'm taking this exosuit armor and I'm getting my revenge. That's a really cool concept there. It's awesome. So adore this mock. Really, really fun concept and really nicely executed and just really creative and original. It's awesome. Lovely weapons. Lots of stuff to love. Let's move over to the next mock now. This is a Meltdown revamp, and this has been built by Samuel goth. So this is cool. I've always enjoyed Meltdown. Some of those original Hero Factory villains are probably some of my favorites. I don't know. They just really grabbed me as a kid. I think it's kind of the color schemes, like the yellow, the red, the lime, and even the bit of sort of light bluish gray from Thunder and the silver as well. I don't know, they look nice next to each other. I don't know. They're just cool. They're cool character designs. So it's nice to see someone doing a very sort of system-heavy version of Meltdown here. Of course, this appears to be built through digital means. I don't know if this is through like Studio or LDD or some other programs. There's a bunch of different ways you can build digital MOCs. But it's been rendered in a very nice way, and all the sort of like red eyes and a little bit of red on the legs and stuff is glowing, which makes it look really cool. So yeah, it's just an awesome design. I like that he's used so much system. This is actually very heavily system, except for the mask and a few other different pieces there. And I like that. To me, it gives off this real sort of like construction robot vibe, which I always saw for Meltdown. I kind of got the sense that he was, and I never actually looked up his backstory, but I always got the sense that he was this sort of like construction robot that went rogue and, I don't know, played with chemical waste and stuff, and now he has this weird chemical waste whip and all sorts of craziness that he uses to mess people up. So I don't know, that's always the vibe that I saw for him. The yellow seems really sort of like, you know, cautionary and industrial in that sense. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool to play with the system to get that very sort of smooth aesthetic that could match that of like construction materials or vehicles and different things like that. So I think it's cool, and it matches the mask's like textures and aesthetic very well too. So that's awesome. The barrels on the back are nice too. Obviously, the original one had some barrels as well, and that was just sort of one specific piece. But what was also cool about, what's cool about this system version, at least, is the fact that he can go a little bit more detailed with it. Like, you know, you got the black, the sort of stripes of yellow, and then the actual sort of translucent part there as well. So it kind of, I don't know, it's just a different way of doing it, really, right? It's I don't know, just a way to add in a little bit more detail and a little bit more sort of coloring to it instead of just the one static color there from, you know, like the original one was. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, nice to see a very sort of system-heavy revamp of Meltdown here that allows for a lot more sort of detail and just some really nice designs. It's pretty cool. On to the next MOC now. This is a big boy. This is built by Mr. Anderson Builder, and this one is called Quark Crook. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. This guy has real sort of like final boss video game BBEG, big bad evil guy villain aesthetics here. It's perfect. So hey, if you want to build a hero, you want to build a villain in Hero Feb, why not go big or go home sort of thing here? You know, this is awesome. I don't believe this was actually specifically built for HF Feb, but it's still Hero Factory related, still counts. My favorite thing about this MOC is this incredible torso design here. I love the fact that it looks so like just all this exposed wiring, just this really unique aesthetic. I like the fact that either A, he's been like really heavily damaged and he just hasn't had time to, you know, repair his, like put armor over the top of all of that to protect himself. Or this is almost like the equivalent of like a bare chest, like ripping your shirt off and all the exposed sort of like skin is underneath. Maybe this is what unarmored skin of a Hero Factory villain looks like. And he's just like, I don't care if I don't have armor and this is going to hurt. Like, I'm that strong, I can take it. You know, it's saying a lot about the character. It's interesting. And all these different techniques for exposed wires is cool. You know, using a bunch of different tube or wire elements that actually existed on Bionicle and Hero Factory sets, which, you know, they are wire pieces. It makes sense to use them for wires and different external organ things, external or internal organs, depending on how you want to look at it. Using some of these different rope pieces and flex tubing from different Bionicle and system sets as well, also very fitting. And incorporating a bunch of gears and tire pieces as well to look like really kind of thick or sort of wiring that sort of changes shape as it sort of moves along. Really nice designs all throughout that. It's just a really different aesthetic that I've not really seen before on a Bionicle specifically, so it's nice, you know? Additionally, too, this MOC has a really awesome waist cape, which is always nice. To me, that really does give him some very sort of sinister, evil bad guy look kind of vibes here, which is always fitting and always nice. And the editing that he's done on the eyes there to really make them pop. Just a little bit of, you know, little computer-generated editing. He hasn't necessarily used any official Lego pieces to do that inherently. But it works. It works really well, and it certainly gives off some sinister vibes, especially using that Firelord mask there. You know, adding a few other little attachments to it, making it a little bit bigger, really does make it look menacing. That Firelord mask almost has Darth Vader vibes, actually. It's a really cool mask and quite fitting for a villain, especially because it was used on a Hero Factory villain, wasn't it? So very, very cool. The hand design is also pretty cool. Very system heavy again, but lots of posability to it, and a little bit larger than your typical hand design, but really looks cool and fits with the rest of the aesthetic of this MOC. And yeah, just in general, he has this awesome sort of evil, dominating sort of like stature and appearance to him. He's just a bit of a sight to behold. It's pretty cool. So yeah, by all means, like I said before, if you want to build big, do it. Go ham, build the biggest, most evil, awesome bad guy, or the most heroic, tall, proud, awesome looking warrior hero. Do what you can. Have fun, you know? Maybe it will take you a bit of time. Maybe you're going to save this till the end of HF Feb. Going to use all the time that you've got. You got the whole month to build. You got plenty of time, you know? So yeah, maybe this is going to get some of those creative juices flowing, give you some inspiration for building something big and awesome. So love this MOC. On to the next one now. This is built by Woodward4, and this is Jason Neptune. So we got another awesome water-themed hero, which, you know, fantastic. Always good to see stuff like that. But what's also awesome is last episode I was like, man, you don't really see dark blue heroes because, you know, dark blue wasn't really used that much in Hero Factory stuff. Was used in Bionicle a fair bit, but not so much in Hero Factory. So it's nice to see another dark blue hero. I very much appreciate this. If we can continue that trend across all the HF Feb episodes, it'll be a pleasant surprise. Not that we have to, but it's fun, you know? It's the Doofenshmirtz thing of like, if I had a penny for every time I saw a dark blue MOC for HF Feb, I'd have 2 pennies, which isn't much, but I'm surprised it's happened twice. So it's good. It's good. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoy the sort of general kind of torso-shoulder area here. Using those 2 Pahatu gold G2 masks there for shoulder armor looks awesome. It almost stops looking like a mask from specific angles as well. It really does blend in beautifully with the rest of that torso and the lower arm, or the upper arms there, the lower part of the upper arms. It's gorgeous. So it's nice to see those pieces really seamlessly sort of flowing together like that. The gold armor on this really, really works well. I love, too, the fact that he's used some of those Chima Ultra Build torso pieces that came on that sort of last wave of Chima Ultra Build sets. Those Chima Ultra Builds, they come up a fair bit in BIS. There's some really awesome sets, and not as common. They didn't necessarily get released everywhere in the world, if I'm correct. So you may not have some, but I bought one the other day at a toy fair for like $15, so hopefully you can get one pretty cheap. I think the last time I looked on Bricklink, some of them were pretty cheap. I don't know if all of them are cheap. But it's worth looking into because they have some cool pieces, much like this awesome torso design, which normally you can insert a Zamasphere into, but it looks like he's found some cool way to insert the hero core into it, which is a great idea. You know, it makes sense that you want to put a hero core on your hero. That's sort of a bit of a staple for heroes. You don't have to put it on the core or on the torso specifically. You could put it on the shoulder, the leg, the butt. I don't know, put it wherever you want. Some hero core cheeks, perhaps. I don't know. Something to consider. This is a PG show. But yeah, hey, look, you know, there's different ways you could attach it there, and it's a really unique design to see that there. I love that. It's also cool to see those Tarek's weapon pieces. They fit very nicely with this color scheme, and certainly very, very cool. And yeah, just in general, this is a really well-built hero. Very Toa-like, but still very hero-like at the same time, which I think is fitting and cool. So really, really like this one. Very cool. Let's move on to the next MOC now. This one is built by GK733, and this is Clam, Mongus, and Assistant Drone. I adore this. I really, really like this. This awesome sort of underwater suit aesthetic is really cool. The heavy use of sort of like your silvers and your gun metals and a little bit of black as well. Combining it with the sort of trans neon green here and these awesome like purple tubes and a few other different things here. Such a lovely color scheme. Very, very cool. Does give me these sort of like deep diving, lower parts of the water, sort of like diving expedition aesthetics. It's really, really neat, actually. I thoroughly enjoy this. So first off, the color scheme's amazing. The sort of head design, using a system cockpit piece from some of the old Atlantis Lego Systems sets. I'll throw up some pictures of those because that was an awesome theme. And it had a really unique color scheme and some nice little kind of cockpit pieces like that. So by all means, if you maybe want to take a bit of inspiration from some of those older Atlantis or other kind of underwater Lego themes, there's certainly a fair few of them, actually. Lego did a lot of underwater stuff, so lots to consider there and lots to play around with, something to consider and think about. But combining that with a sort of shoulder armor piece and putting the Hero Factory headpiece inside, Man, it looks cool. That looks awesome. That's perfect and very fitting for a sort of like underwater scuba diving helmet. It's great. I love his hand design here, using some of these sort of like armor attachment pieces that came on like Rocker 3.0 and a few other Hero Factory sets there. They're cool pieces, but they work very well as a sort of finger design there. I very much like that. I also enjoy the gun design because it has a really interesting piece that's being used there. It's actually a rock monster head from the Power Miners theme. Bit of an interesting sort of ammunition that's being fired. Kind of looks like some sort of underwater crystal that he's used as some sort of energy source or projectile to shoot out of his blaster. It's different, it's unique, I like it, it's cool. Two other things I love about this MOC is the use of the Ratuka spinner pieces from some of the Visorak and other MOCs of that sort of generation. They work perfect for sort of like rotors or some sort of propulsion system for traveling underwater. So nice use of that piece there. And also the little assistant drone here that was mentioned in the sort of name of this MOC. That's fun. You know, I touched upon it at the start of the episode. They're always cool to give your MOC a little sort of assistant or drone or pet or sort of familiar or whatever that you want to give them. I think that's just a fun little addition. And I like the fact that the color scheme is vastly different from the MOC as well, because it doesn't have to be the same necessarily. It could be, it doesn't have to be. But I really like that. It's cool. So really, really nice techniques all throughout this MOC here. Beautiful look to it. It's very cool. The last MOC now, this is by Bob the Doctor 27, and this is Breakout Stormer, but it is, of course, a revamp of Breakout Stormer. So, Stormer XL specifically, this is a revamp of that set, which I think was a fantastic set. I always enjoyed a lot of the XL sets. But as nice as this set was, it was a little kind of gappy, and I don't know, there was just, I always kind of felt there were ways that you could kind of tidy up the design a little bit. So it's really nice to see Bob the Doctor doing exactly that. Finding a way of making that torso look a little bit sort of just massive and sort of out of proportion by adding that sort of silver armor piece on the waist there, just to kind of branch the sort of larger sort of pecs of that torso and sort of have it flow down nicely into the waist there. It's just a sort of gentle transition that I think works really nicely and is a great way to sort of help the introduction of that very large torso piece, which can be difficult to use because it is so big. So really nice combination of pieces there. Additionally, the inclusion of adding in some azure armor pieces on the legs and the arms there, that is gorgeous. The azure, the white, the silver, and of course a little bit of black as well. Gorgeous color scheme, and that's a surprisingly nice addition to this revamp here. It's really, really fitting and really cool. And I've always enjoyed that sword on the original set, and just looking at those pieces again, it's a cool piece. And of course that came in a few other different colors and things, so that's my hot recommendation if you're looking for a weapon for one of your Hero Factory MOCs. If you're building something for HF Feb, grab any of those pieces. They're so cool. They're so cool. Any of the colors, just grab them. They're cool. Well, don't just grab them, actually use them in the MOC. Don't just hold them and look at them. No, these are very nice. you gotta actually use them. But yeah, this is a fantastic little revamp of Stormer here. Really, really well done, and nice to see it just a little bit more sort of tidied up and refined. And by all means, check out some more stuff from Bob the Doctor. He's a very talented dude who likes to do sort of like minimal revamps of sets, but he really nails it with the revamps and the kind of like little sort of slight modifications that he adds. They're just he perfects it. It's good. He's a talented builder, this one, and so are all the builders in today's episode. So please check the links in the description below. You'll see all the links to their work there. So by all means, check it out and see some of the other stuff these builders have done. And maybe you can comment on their stuff or leave a like or whatever on their work. Give them a follow, all that sort of stuff, because I'm sure they would very much appreciate it, and I would appreciate it if you did that for them, because it's just a nice thing to do. Additionally, in the description below is links to some of my own social media, so if you want to see some of the other stuff that I've got going on over there, that is the place to check all that out. There'll be a podcast pretty soon. I'm going to be recording it later today at the time of this recording, but that'll be different from when this episode comes out, so hopefully within the week you can expect a podcast pretty soon, so that's very exciting. And speaking of more stuff that I've got going on, like I said, my social media is in the description below. The submission email is in the description and on your screen right now as well. So if you want to submit some of your own MOCs for HF Feb or just any BIS episode in general, be sure to submit it to the email and I'll consider it for future episodes. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you later on in HF Feb. Thank you and good night.